Hello everybody. If you're looking at the title right now, I know exactly why you clicked because it says I dropped my bike, and that is correct. So the other day, I was out for my afternoon ride and I came up to an intersection I've never been before. And lo and behold, I come to a stop and the bike fell. I know what's in your mind. You're wondering, it's like, well, how do you drop a bike, right? It's like, what would cause you to drive a bike? Well, one thing, I am a new rider and I'm very inexperienced. And through my training, I went to school and I was just following exactly as I was trained. So basically, you always keep your right foot on the brake and you put your left foot down. Well, in this particular instance, that was absolutely wrong thing to do. So I was stopping on a very steep hill in two directions. So from left to right, it was steep, and from front to back was very steep. So of course I kept my foot on the brake to make sure I don't roll back. And as I was putting my foot down, I was actually putting my foot down so the bike was leaning down the hill, going the opposite direction. Now I'm gonna throw up a picture up on the screen to show you this hill, and I'll try to augment it so you'd understand what I'm saying. So basically, when you are stopped, like your bike, you can move it side to side about 10 degrees either way, and nothing will happen because the bike is fairly light. Anything past that, then gravity takes over and the bike becomes very heavy and you're not able to hold onto it anymore. So in this case here, when I was stopped on this slope, I put my left foot down, facing down a hill. I passed that 10-degree mark. So as I was putting my foot down and planting it, the bike was too far leaned and gravity took over and it just fell over. Now, that being said, you're wondering, okay, well, what kind of damage would happen to a Honda CB650R if it just fell over while at a stop? Well, I'm going to show you here. The first piece of damage that you're going to notice is going to be on the engine cover. So right here, you can see that the engine cover is scratched. And that's just from it falling over. So you can see that there's no directional scratches, so you can tell I wasn't moving. It's just a scratch as it hit the pavement. Now, the gear shifter has a little bit of a scuff on it. It's not too bad. The peg here, it's because it folds up, there's no damage on that at all. This peg here was down at the time, and you can see that there is some gnarling done to this. Okay, so there's a little bit of damage there. So on the whole lower portion, that is all there is on there. Now on the upper part, the mirror has some scratches, as you can see here, and a little bit right here for when it hit the ground. So this was actually pushed as it fell. Now the clutch lever actually broke off, right? And one aspect of this video is I'll be replacing this clutch lever today to replace it. So it's about this much missing from the clutch lever. And then of course I got a little bit of damage here at the end of the handle grip, which is not too bad. That there I could just touch up with some paint. As a reference, this is a new clutch lever versus the old clutch lever, so you can see exactly how much is missing. Now as for the rest of the bike is fine. There's no mechanical issues. I've rode this bike a few times since I've dropped it, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Actually, I realized that after dropping it, it's actually pretty sturdy. So there's really no worry if you drop your bike. If it's going to be able to run or work afterwards. Of course it does. So one thing you have to remember is when you do drop your bike, it will stall and it will not start up without you turning the key to the off position and turning it back on, because there's a safety mechanism in the computer that prevents it from starting. So just keep that in mind. What we're going to do now is we're going to replace the clutch lever, and I'm going to do step by step. So if you guys have never replaced a clutch lever, this is going to be how to change your clutch lever. The tools required to change your clutch lever is going to be, well, you're going to need the new clutch lever itself. you're going to need a flathead screwdriver, and you're going to need a 10mm socket. Underneath the handlebar, there is a little nut right here. This is where you're going to use your 10mm, and you're just going to back this off. Okay, so that nut is off. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take the flathead screwdriver and we're going to unscrew the screw so that it comes out. Okay, so now we're going to remove the screw. That's it right there. And then I'm going to put this somewhere. I'll put it here on the gas tank. It's really greasy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the lever just by twisting it a little bit like this. And then we'll unhook the lever. And this should just slide right out. This is where you need to have two hands. There we go. So now we're going to get the new lever and we're going to do the exact opposite. One of the very important things about this whole thing is you have the clutch sensor right here. And so you'll need to push the button in and then put the peg part of this clutch lever over top of it. And so now it's all in line like so. Okay, so now we are screwing the screw back in. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure it's really tight. Okay, that's as tight as I can get it. Now the last step is to put the nut back onto the screw. So I'm using my 10mm. Perfect. So that's nice and tight now. And we'll just test the clutch. Yep, nice even pressure. And now we'll take a look at where the clutch is pulling the actual clutch. Right there, so it's working perfectly. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like it, please like it and subscribe. And we'll see you next video.